Everyone has a favorite Pokemon, and if you can't tell by now, well, mine is Aipom. While the Detective Pikachu movie may have done my boy Aipom a little bit dirty, I find something overly adorable about this little guy, more specifically in the games and in the anime. That is why in today's video we are going to be doing an Aipom only run of Pokemon Platinum. I chose Platinum because I really do love the Gen 4 game's aesthetic, and with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl coming out soon, I figured, why not? This video will end up being a little bit on the longer side, so please make sure to sit back, relax, and really watch this video however you want, whether that be from the safety of your couch, or if you're in the middle of the club after your friends forgot you and you're waiting for them to pick you up. Watch it there, I guess. I mean, that must really suck. I do want to mention that this video was inspired by many other content creators on YouTube who do these same type of challenges, more specifically Madrybread and many more people who do these types of Pokemon challenges. If you want to see these amazing Pokemon challenge videos like this, please go check out their channels here over on YouTube. There are really only 2 rules when it comes to this challenge and are as follows. 1, I can only ever use Aipom in battle. I can catch other Pokemon for HMs, but they'll be kept lower level on purpose to prevent them from actually being any use in this challenge. Also, I can't utilize any game-breaking glitches or cheats. I want this playthrough to be as authentic as possible. Other than that, really anything goes. I don't have a level cap, so we're going to have to see how much I can try to stay not too over-leveled, but who knows. Now let's take a look at Aipom as a Pokemon. Looking at Aipom's base stats, there really aren't anything to celebrate about these stats. While it has fairly decent base speed, if we look at something like Infernape, for example, we probably won't be coming anywhere close to outspeeding a lot of the fast fighting type Pokemon. Our attack and defense stats are okay, but we definitely might struggle a little bit as we progress further into this playthrough. Now, if we look over at Aipom's moveset in Gen 4, we can see that we really don't learn a whole lot by leveling up. However, TMs is where Aipom is really going to shine. With a decent amount of physical type moves that Aipom can learn through TMs, we should be set. We'll also be able to take advantage of the move tutor later that can give us moves such as the elemental punches when we need them. Anyways, with all that quick information out of the way, let's hop into this Aipom only challenge. I decided to replace Turtwig with Aipom using the Pokemon Randomizer tool so that our rival will eventually get Infernape later. I ended up naming my Aipom Saitama after One Punch Man, and my rival Yugs after my good friend Yellow Yugo, who really inspired me to make Pokemon content. So go check out Yugo down in the description below once you're done watching this video, of course. Once we beat our rival, I went ahead and checked my Aipom to see what nature this bad boy got, and to my surprise, we actually ended up getting a Jolly nature, which raises our speed and lowers our special attack, which is a really great combo for Aipom, and I think it'll help us a lot later on. After getting my Pokedex and naming my Aipom, and stopping at home to see my mom, Dawn thought it would be a good idea to teach me how to catch Pokemon. However, Dawn doesn't really understand that I can't catch any other Pokemon, so I promptly dropped these Pokeballs she so kindly gifted me. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know why I did this, because I need to catch other Pokemon to use HMs anyway, so it was kind of a waste. On my way to Jubilee, I made sure to fight all of the Pokemon that I could, as well as the trainers inside the trainer school, because we're going to need these early levels to take on the first gym. Looking forward to Rorik, we have to deal with his rock-type Pokemon, which resist all of our moves except for Astonish, which isn't that good anyways. Having a level advantage is definitely going to help. The first rival battle outside of Jubilife City is actually a joke because his Starly ended up only using Growl, and then his Chimchar actually ended up using Leer 5 times in a row. We actually didn't take damage during this entire fight, which was very surprising to me. After making my way to Orberg and fighting all the trainers I could before attempting the gym, Aipom was level 14, which was on par with Rorik's Cranidos. Like I said earlier, I do have Astonish, so I decided to give the gym a shot and see how it goes. The 2 gym trainers were pretty easy, except for the second one's Onix, because it kept using Harden, and I had run out of Astonish PP, but we managed to pull through. Just barely. When it came to Rorik's Geodude and Onix, they were pretty easy. I spammed Astonish with Geodude, but when Astonish PP was getting low on his Onix, I opted to use Sand Attack to help me live, and then Tail Whip to lower his defense. Then I finished it with a combo of a Scratch and Astonish. I went for the same thing when this Cranidos came out, however I got super unlucky when it came to him hitting a headbutt and actually white it out on my first attempt. The second attempt actually didn't go very well either. For some reason, I decided to use the sand attack strat on the Geodude, even though it's not really needed. I wasted my battle items on this one, unfortunately, so I made sure to go and buy more potions. The third attempt actually made me mad. I ended up getting a crit by a headbutt from his Craniados as soon as it came out and made me white out. This playthrough is going great so far. Thankfully, I had done a save state in front of Rourke this time, so I'm not completely wasting all of my items. Now, you can go down in the comments and say spamming potions is a cheesy way of beating this challenge, but in the end, I really don't care. But once I got to his Cranidos on this next attempt, I was lucky enough to dodge most of his headbutts, and healing where I needed, I managed to eventually take down the Cranidos, winning us our first gym badge. I can only imagine at this point how annoying Maylene's fighting gym is going to be, especially if this gym was rough. After making our way back to Jubilife City, we encounter our very first interaction with Team Galactic, who me and Don promptly put in their place. Continuing north, we actually start to encounter our very first Team Galactic boss fight with Commander Mars. By the time we reach her in the Valley Windworks, we are level 21, and I actually taught Aipom Return for this fight because it'll be a pretty useful stab type move since we're only using Aipom, and he better end up loving me. Unfortunately for us, we actually ended up losing this fight the first time to another unlucky critical hit. Thankfully, on our second attempt, we managed to avoid that same fate, which now means we can make our way through the Eterna Forest and onto our second gym. On my way to Eterna City, I actually tried my best to avoid all the trainers because I don't want to be super over-leveled for this challenge unless I have to, and I actually ran into this trainer who thought he had his Aipom stronger than mine. I ended up showing him his boss, and he ended up crying like an idiot. But yeah, even though I tried avoiding as many trainers, I still ended up at level 26 for the fight with Gardenia, even with her strongest mod being level 22. So I'm sure you can imagine that this fight was super easy. Now it's time for some mandatory plot, which means more mandatory battles. Just kidding. Actually, there are no mandatory battles when it comes to the Team Galactic building in Eterna City. The nice part about this is you can avoid all of the trainers in this building, minus Commander Jupiter. I actually ended up fighting one of them because I couldn't remember what path I took, but I did find our way to the Commander in the end. This fight can be interesting due to her skunk tank having Night Slash, which can do big damage due to being a stab, and it can crit pretty frequently. But we definitely got lucky not to experience that and managed to take her out with 2 HP on our first attempt. Now that we can grab our bike after being forced to take an egg from Cynthia, we can make our way south of Eterna and into Mount Coronet on the path to Hearthome City. Now it's time for the first of 2 gyms that are going to be real challenges for this Aipom only run. With Hearthome City's gym's Pokemon all being ghost types, the only move we really have to deal with them at this point is Astonish. I could teach Aipom Grass Knot, but I don't think that we want to get rid of any of my other moves at this point, because both Sand Attack and Screech could be pretty useful for taking down Fantina, so I decided to give it a try. I wanted to avoid as many trainers as possible in this gym, so after taking probably 15 minutes to try and reach Fantina, it was time to give it our first real attempt. This fight is annoying, not because we're dealing with ghost types and we only have one move that works against them, but rather because we are being plagued with status moves in this fight. Duskull has a chance of using Will-O-Wisp, and then Haunter, on top of that, has a chance to use Confuse Ray, which makes this fight super annoying. I could go grab a burn heal or some full heals, but I know that I can beat this fight. I just need to get a little lucky, so I kept trying. What I needed for this fight was a perfect blend of RNG when it came to not getting burned, breaking through confusion, and some great sand attack accuracy drop luck. I thought this was going to take a long time, but thanks to some pretty good luck, I actually managed to take out both her Duskull and Haunter without much issue, and her Miss Magius with ease after only 6 resets, earning us our 3rd gym badge. Now that we have 3 battles, Yugs wants to challenge us to a battle. This is where his starter actually starts to become a potential issue. With it now being a Monferno, it has access to Mach Punch, which can do a decent amount of damage, especially once it evolves into Infernape. Also at this point, his Staravia has Intimidate, which means anytime that we battle with him from here on out, we are starting with a stat drop in our attack. Unfortunately, with this fight against his Monferno, I either need to get super lucky with a critical hit or be lucky with only 1 accuracy drop of a single sand attack. I decided to go with my brute force method of just hoping for a critical, and about 6 or 7 resets, I finally managed to get a critical on his Monferno, making the rest of this fight super easy. I'm not looking forward to his future fights against his team at all. When I got to Salacion Town, I made sure to make my way to the ruins to get defogged so that I don't have a hard time with the northern section of Route 210 later, and continued my trek to Veilstone City for the next gym that will probably prove to be a rough one. Now that we're in Veilstone, we also have access to a place with the Veilstone department store where we can buy vitamins. For this gym, I'm definitely going to need to brute force a lot of it and tank some of their hits. I decided to buy with what money I did have 2 protein and 2 iron, and I went back to finish off all the trainers in the previous route so that I had more money for healing items. This gym I'm not too worried about being overleveled for at this point because I'm definitely going to need to be in order to survive this onslaught of fighting types. I decided to take a crack at the gym at level 39 after getting a decent amount of super potions to help me through it, and let me tell you, these Machoke and other fighting types throughout the gym are definitely terrifying because if I don't one-hit them, I can leave myself open to a one-hit KO from a potential fighting type move. On my first attempt with Maylene, I actually got outsped by a Lucario, but I'm pretty sure that was due to a Rock Tomb from the Machoke previously. So either I have to not get hit by Rock Tomb or just critical or Machoke. Unfortunately for me, her Machoke can also one-hit KO me with Karate Chop, which I learned on the next reset. This is gonna be a rough fight. There was one attempt in this fight where I realized how hard this will end up being. After getting a Quick Claw proc on her Lucario, my return only did about 1/3 of its HP. However, with it having Drain Punch, it can easily get that HP back. It was at this point that I realized I'm gonna need to grind a little bit more. No amount of luck at this point would be able to make this fight possible. After fighting some of the trainers on Route 211 and 212, I actually remembered that you can get the Silk Scarf as a prize from the Game Corner in this generation for 1,000 coins. So after spending 20,000 Pokédollars, I actually managed to get the Silk Scarf, which might help us a bit, especially after we have grinded a bit. At this point, I'm level 47, and I can definitely see that we have a chance against her Lucario. With Silk Scarf, our return does half her health. If we can manage to get a critical hit on our Lucario, we win this fight easily. As much as I hate relying on luck in a challenge, I'd rather not grind too much, or else the remainder of this game, minus Cynthia probably, will be pretty easy. However, we actually got super lucky on this next attempt. Her Lucario, instead of going for Drain Punch after my return, went for Force Palm, which it also surprisingly didn't get the paralysis, allowing us to easily win this 4th gym badge. I was a little bit in shock, to be honest, because I thought we were going to have to reset a lot for this gym in an attempt to get a critical, but I'll take it. After leaving the gym, Dawn asks for some help getting their Pokédex back as it's been stolen from Team Galactic, so we mop them up pretty quickly. At this point, there really isn't much story between us and the Pastoria City's gym, so I make my way down Route 14 towards Pastoria. Remember not too long ago when I said I was kind of afraid with the upcoming fights with my rival as we progress throughout the game? Well, before we can challenge Pastoria City's gym, Yugs wants to battle again, and let me tell you, I think I might be a bit overleveled for him. Even with the Intimidate drop from his Staravia, Return still does one-hit all of his Pokemon, and his Monferno's Mach Punch really has become really sad, if anything. Again, I probably didn't need to grind that much for Maylene, especially after remembering the Silk Scarf, but I'm gonna roll with it. I'm sure you can guess at this point, based on the previous battle with Yugs, the battle with Crasher Wake is going to be a joke, and, well, yeah, you'd be right. His Gyarados also has Intimidate, so we are at a slight disadvantage, but we easily came through this battle. The level gap of our Pokemon at this point is 13 levels higher than the gym's ace, so I really wasn't worried about this battle. Now that we are on our 5th gym badge, we go on a small quest to track down the literal terrorist in a Pokemon game and receive the secret potion from Cynthia, so we can go visit her gran in Celestic Town. By the time I reach Celestic Town, Aipom is almost level 53 due to the insane amount of required trainers on Route 210, especially the second half with the fog. I don't want to be too overleveled, but I don't think there's really much I can do at this point to fix any of this except for keep trying my best to avoid as many trainers as possible. In Celestic Town, though, we actually do have our very first battle with Cyrus, which, without going too much into detail, it's a joke with literal One Punch Man on our team. Canalave City's Steel-type gym slightly concerns me as I approach the city due to our moves being not very effective against Steel-type. Aipom right now might have a pretty high level advantage, but it still might not be the best option. Earlier in the video I said that I could teach Aipom the elemental punches, and Fire Punch would help a lot here, but after looking it actually requires 6 blue shards and 2 red shards. I only have 1 of each, so it's time to go hunting. On my hunt I grabbed a red and blue shard from the Fuego Ironworks, and then proceeded to grab the remaining blue shards from Route 212 and the Underground. I could have gotten some shards from other places in the overworld, but this was easier in my book, and I really love the Underground, so it was worth it. There was this one point in the Underground that I actually stepped on a flower trap and realized that I actually couldn't blow away the flowers and kind of softlock the game, forcing myself to reset. I thought it was kind of funny, so I'd share it with you here. However, after what felt like an eternity in the Underground, I finally got enough blue shards to head over to Route 212 and teach Aipom Fire Punch. Now let's head back to Canalave City and take on this gym. I actually forgot that Yugs wants to fight here in Canalave City, so I was a little taken back when he ran up to me asking to battle. I believe this is the first fight with him having a Heracross, which can be terrifying if he gets off a Brick Break because that move does well over half my health. I actually lost my first attempt because I wasn't prepared for Brick Break at all, a move his Infernape also knows. Great, now Yugo is being difficult. For this second attempt, I had a protein to give Aipom to raise its base attack, and I also went to Veilstone to buy some X attacks to help with the stat drop that we get from Mr. Raptor. With using one X attack and the protein, it gave us enough of a boost to one-hit his Heracross and Infernape, which led us to easily winning the rest of this battle. Now, let's get back to the gym. By the time we made it through Canalave City's gym to the leader, we were level 56, and I noticed while fighting the gym trainers that bulky Pokemon like Steelix are kind of a chore to take down with Fire Punch, but still fairly easy, so I don't think this fight will end up being very difficult at all. To be honest, this fight with Byron, however, was just a little annoying. He leads with Magneton, which only gets off a metal sound, which lowers my special defense. When his Steelix comes out, it uses a couple of flash cannons to bring me down to about 1/4 health. I actually thought about healing before his Bastiodon came out, but I opted not to and risk him missing a Stone Edge. His Bastiodon, on the other hand, is annoying because it not only knows Iron Defense, but also knows Taunt, which can make my Sand Attack and Screech useless for a little while draining my PP from Fire Punch or Return, giving him an opportunity to give his defense up. I decided that starting with Sand Attack was the best bet to help avoid his Stone Edge hits and taunts, and it worked until he hit me with a Stone Edge, bringing me down to 6 HP. That was a little too close for comfort. After healing, I continued using Sand Attack and Screech whenever he would use Iron Defense, and after some Fire Punches, we took down his Bastiodon and won our 6th gym badge. Now that we have the gym badge, we can get into a little story with Team Galactic before going through Mount Coronet towards the 8th gym. I actually didn't know this until now, but you actually have to go to Iron Island and talk to Riley to get HMO Force Strength before you can even continue. So I made my way there to grab that quick and learned Bidoof actually can't learn Strength, so I went ahead and caught a Graveler at Iron Island. After a long conversation with Professor Rowan, Team Galactic shows that they really are just domestic terrorists and blow up Lake Valor in order to grab one of the Lake Guardians. So now it's time for a 10-year-old child and his roided out Aipom to save the day. After cleaning up the mess with Commander Saturn, we head to Lake Verity to help Dawn with Commander Mars, who is also a pushover. Now it's time to trek through Mount Coronet and the worst part of the entire game to take on our 7th gym before we can help Yugs at Lake Acuity. After trudging our way through the snow and sliding throughout the Snow Point gym, it's time to face Candace. Let me tell you, this fight was a joke. We actually one-shot all of our Pokemon with Fire Punch, but who can really blame us? We're level 62 at this point. I sure hope the Elite Four is actually a tactical challenge at this point. Now that we have our 7th badge, we can go and try and help Yugs at Lake Acuity. Unfortunately, Jupiter just decides to leave, and Yugs is super depressed about how he lost. I guess now we have to go to the Galactic building in Veilstone. After slowly making our way through the Galactic building, we meet Cyrus again, quickly putting him in his place, as well as Commander Saturn to free the Lake Guardians. Unfortunately for us, Cyrus already has the red chain, so they become a big bad on top of Mount Coronet. So, of course, it's time to trek back through the stupid cave and some more snow. Have I mentioned that I don't like Mount Coronet? Well, after stumbling my way up the mountain, I finally reached the summit where Team Galactic awaited me. Even with the help of Yugs, however, against the fight against the Commanders, I actually ended up whiting out because of how much their Pokemon focused on me, while his Munchlax really didn't do anything. I also had a low amount of healing items, and Super Potions weren't cutting it at that point. So I reset back before I started the climb, bought some healing items, and climbed all the way back up to the top again. Thankfully, this time the fight with the commanders was a lot easier as they focused more on Yugs' Pokemon than my own. After beating the commanders, Cyrus starts to go all crazy by summoning both Dialga and Palkia with the power of the Red Chain, eventually causing Spooky Boy Giratina to appear and kidnap Cyrus. Cynthia, being the outstanding adult figure in our lives, asks us to enter this mysterious world to chase after Cyrus and stop Giratina. Now, I know a lot of people really like the distortion world, but I can tell you for certain that I really have never been a fan of it. Lore-wise, I think it's cool, but I always get lost in this God-forbidden world. However, after getting lost a couple of times and moving some boulders, I made it to the bottom where Cyrus awaited us. The fight with Cyrus was actually really easy. I decided to use an X attack when I got to his Hans Crow just in case I didn't one-hit any of his upcoming Pokemon, and it was actually a good thing that I did because his Gyarados came out next with Intimidate, so that's pretty cool. Even with no stat boost anymore, I still managed to take out Cyrus pretty easily. Now we can finally get out of this world, after killing Giratina, of course. Slowly but surely. With that expositional detour out of the way, we can make our way towards Sunyshore City to get our final badge and then make our way to the Pokemon League. There really isn't much to say about the gym in Sunyshore. Volkner goes down pretty easy. However, I would like to mention that during one of the trainer battles for this gym, my Aipom actually reached level 69. Nice. With our 8th gym badge, we can make our way through Victory Road. Even if I did white out a couple times due to kind of just autopiloting with speed up on, and finally make our way out to the Pokemon League. By the time we made it to the Pokemon League, Aipom has now reached level 75, so we deposited every one of our HM Mons in the PC and had one final face-off with Yugs. I wasn't actually sure how this fight was going to go, especially now that his Staraptor has close combat, something I actually didn't know until I used it. So I decided to use an X attack to negate the Intimidate stat drop and then swept through the entire rest of his teams because, I'm level 75 and his Impregnate is level 51. GG Yugs, maybe one day you'll win. Now it's time for the final gauntlet with the Pokemon League. So I stocked up on healing items and X attacks and set forth to this journey. Area's the first member of the Elite Four is a Bug-type trainer. Having Fire Punch on Aipom still is useful for this fight, so I used one X attack at the beginning and one-hit all of his Pokemon with Fire Punch, and then used Return on his Drapion. Bertha is up next, and she actually uses Ground-type Pokemon. I decided to teach Aipom Grass Knot over Sand Attack at this point to help, and the only unfortunate part is that I don't have any X specials. I didn't think I'd need any, so I ended up losing this fight. I know I probably could win if I just heal spam, so I attempted again. On this attempt, I decided to use a couple of the X defense that I had bought to help curb the damage I was taking from earthquakes throughout this fight. Thanks to this strategy and healing when I needed, I was able to get through Bertha pretty easily. Next up is the Fire-type trainer Flint, and well, I died here because his Infernape used a Flare Blitz after living on literally 2 HP. I didn't think I needed an X attack for this fight, but I might as well. Let's just say this fight was super easy with that X attack though. And now we're on to the final member of the Elite Four. This has gone very well so far. Lucian and, well, like Flint before him, was really just a pushover. I one-shot all of his Psychic types with Return except for Bronzong, who I used to Screech on and then Fire Punched. And now with that out of the way, we have made our way towards the final battle of this challenge, Cynthia. I could set up on her Spiritomb like I've done in casual runs with Pokemon like Gyarados using Dragon Dance, but I decided to just see where Brute Force can get me. Luckily for Cynthia, Spiritomb is immune to our Return, so I can't just Brute Force right away. So I decided to use 2 Screeches to lower her defense before going for a Fire Punch. Luckily, we didn't die to her Spiritomb and lived on 5 HP before this though. Surprisingly as well, a Fire Punch from 2 Screech attacks wasn't enough to one-hit KO her Spiritomb. However, this was a pretty good opportunity for us to get her to use one of her full restores. Unfortunately though, up next comes her Lucario, something I stupidly didn't realize was going to happen. At this point, I could use an X attack to help me with the Spiritomb and then Lucario, but I feel like that's going to give me too much of an unfair advantage throughout the rest of the fight, so I try again. Unfortunately for this attempt, when I got to her Lucario, even with being as high of health as I thought I could be, I still couldn't live from an Aura Sphere. I don't think her AI is going to go for any other move at this point, so I have really no choice but to hope for a critical Fire Punch on her Lucario or to use an X attack. Let's go for a critical. 2 attempts later, I actually got an attempt where I was full health before Lucario and lived an Aura Sphere. I forgot that Lucario gets extreme speed though, so I actually died here. If I had remembered extreme speed, I would have easily healed and then used Fire Punch the next turn. The next attempt, I actually got the same thing to happen where I was full health against the Lucario and healed as I had mentioned, taking out her Lucario. Her Togekiss was also easy with return after just barely living an Aura Sphere. Next out came her Garchomp, who actually got a critical hit with her Flamethrower, allowing her to take me out with a Earthquake the next turn. After many, and I mean many more attempts, we finally made it back to her Garchomp. I actually wasn't sure how this was going to go and forgot to turn off Speed Up, but after a bunch of healing and waiting for her Dragon Rush to miss, I was able to take out her Garchomp with a Screech and a couple of returns. Up next is her Milotic, and that was pretty easy as well. I took it out with a couple of returns after healing from the Garchomp damage. Finally, out came her last Pokemon, Roserade. I actually wasn't sure if I could one-hit the Roserade, but I wanted to style on her anyway, so I decided to go for a Screech before her turn. I actually could have died here if her Sludge Bomb hit a critical, but we didn't have that unfortunate luck, and finally beat the champion of Sinnoh, completing our challenge of beating Pokemon Platinum with only 1 Aipom. I know I did leave a lot of this final battle with Cynthia up to luck, but I hope that it provided a little bit of entertainment rather than just me using 1 or 2 X attacks and sweeping her team. I probably could have done this challenge a little bit lower leveled, but I'm certain that a challenge like that would require a lot more luck on previous battles in the Elite Four, and Cynthia especially. Could this challenge be done harder? Probably. It might have already been done. If someone has done this challenge without using items in battle, then props to them, because that would be a nightmare, and you might actually have to be in the high 90s to beat Cynthia, unless you're properly IV and EV trained. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this Aipom only challenge run. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like this video as it really helps me and the channel. If you want to see more Pokemon related content as we get into the life cycle of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, as well as Legends Arceus, then please make sure to subscribe because I will be doing some discussion videos about these games post-launch for BDSP and leading up to and after the launch of Legends Arceus. Anyways, that's all from me. Have a great day.